Hello and welcome to today's historic best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on what I'm calling a blue-white Boggles list. Now, I'm using Boggles in the term to refer to the original slippery Bogle or Boggle, however you pronounce it. But the main Boggle that we're going to be using is Invisible Stalker, which basically Boggle sort of means like an evasive threat with hexproof that you can't easily get rid of, and then you load the creature in question up with loads of either enchantments or artifacts, or in this case, various swords and equipment, and just try and sneak through damage that they can't really interact with. Now, because we don't have any other actual good slippery Bogle style creatures, I'm also running 2 copies of Geist of St. Traft, since there's not really any other good hexproof. I think it literally not only any other good hexproof cards in the colors that are low to the ground. I don't think there's that many other hexproof like drops below like turn 3 besides these 2 cards, I think. But in order to give the Geist the somewhat unblockable quality that the Stalker has, we use all of our various equipment, either the various protection swords that we have, or other generally, nice and useful equipments like Mithril Coat, Shadowspears, and Colossus Hammers, with some Sigarda's aids in here, to again load up the particular card in question and just try and beat down an opponent really, really fast with a creature that they will have a very difficult time interacting with. And besides, the core of the game plan, we just have a load of like relatively good like support cards, Archmage's Charm, Spell Queller, and Apparition, as well as other cards. Our interaction and more like generic glue cards. They're all just generally good cards that allow us to interact and not be entirely a one-trick pony. And we have some other little nice ones, like, again, all of the Sigarda's aid and the enchantment and weapon stuff. It's honestly a pretty simple, like, some pretty aggressive deck, and it's been a lot of fun. And one of the reasons why we're making this list is that that there's not really a whole lot of Murder at Karlov Manor cards that were terribly interesting, so I had to get creative. And I had always wanted to make a list when we got the Innistrad remaster thing. I wanted to make a list like this, so I figured why not now. And the land base, also pretty self-explanatory, just lands that come into play untapped on curve. You don't have to run the same lands, but as long as whatever you're running will come into play untapped early on, then you're pretty well good to replace whatever your collection happens to have. Sideboard cards, very typical silver bullety style cards. Rest in Peace for Graveyards, Cyclonic Rift, Settle the Wreckage, and where is it? Cleansing Nova are for various kinds of sweepers, since decks that can go wider than us can outperform what our deck wants to do, so we need to like keep a board pretty clear. Boromir as usually just a way to give all of our creatures indestructible, but sometimes the counter a free thing spell kind of matters. We also have some Dovin's Vetoes and a single Ashiok Eraser against various non-creature spells, or like particularly important cards like in combo decks, or just, really, really high impact cards. You can use an Ashiok's Eraser. And honestly, that's... Oh, and Lauren of the Third Path, I forgot, as basically a naturalize on a body. It's, again, pretty simple, all silver bullet cards. You can't really... There's not a whole lot to go into. And with that out of the way, remember to don't forget to like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions like I don't have X, what about Y, go ahead and leave those down in the comments below, and I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. With all of that rambly, not great intro out of the way, we'll go on to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little blue-white Boggles list. And 3 lands, 4 spells, things to do. That's Sigarda's aid in our opening hand. Pretty good. What is that? Okay, that is a card sleeve. Appear to be going against some sort of like red decky wins thing, which is fine. we will go ahead and play the Sigarda's Aid since we don't have anything else to do anyway. Luckily, we do have a Sword of Fire and Ice against what is likely a mono red list, so if we can actually resolve this thing, we're absolutely cooking. Autonomous Furnace. That's fine. I guess we'll do a blue, even though we don't have anything else to do. We're not going to give our opponent a Staggering Insight. That would be silly. Which one's that? Combat damage to a player, you may sack it, you do proliferate, deals, when it dies, damage. Okay, fine. A perfectly fine, like, red deck wins style card. And the Autonomous Furnace would imply Pardon? Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, the Furnace would imply they are a mono red list, since that's not a color, kind of land you'd run if you had access to other colors. Because almost any other color, maybe besides white, would have access to better card draw. Okay, it's gonna start to hurt. Is there like a sacrifice thing? Oh, there is. There's like some unscheduled maintenance or whatever the hell that card's called. There are various sacrifice outlets that could make that scamp hurt even more. We don't love that, but we don't really have an option to do much else. We're definitely going to Skyclave down that scamp. It's just the biggest thing. Oh, right. Well, that hurts a lot. Yeah, okay, fine. Oh yeah. Our plan is easy. We're going to Skyclave down probably the Etchings now. And just kind of hope we can live until next turn. Now what we do next turn, be it a Sword of Fire and Ice, or maybe a Staggering Insight, maybe. It'll depend on what happens. If we do a land... Oh, they're going to have a removal spell, aren't they? Well, that's not great. Okay, our whole plan did kind of revolve around killing that, which isn't great. God, if I just had like even like an Esper Sentinel, that'd be equally fine. Don't think he's gonna sacrifice that. Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, Pippin's something. Okay, we can do Pippin. That's fine. Pippin, a nice little okay card if you want to, you know, strap it up with particular weapons and stuff. Also, having a almost like Mother of Rune style effect is more useful than you would think. Now, this might not matter. He might. Well, okay, if he was gonna, like, play with Fire It, he would have done that before the equip happened. Okay. I guess... Okay, let's see what they do. He could have some sort of, yeah, like, Lightning Strike style card. That might actually be us dead, because we're not really getting a whole lot of opportunities here. What is that card? Hidden Volcano. Sack it, discover 4. Okay, that's fine, I guess. That is really not good. I guess we'll do it for a blue. Maybe they'll do like a Spell Queller. We can like get rid of something. But even if they don't, we just have to play the Spell Queller as a blocker. We're so very close to like turning the corner and being like kind of okay. Don't have a lot of cards. Squee is getting countered all day long. Now, they could have some sort of like removal spell 1000%, but we're just going to hope they don't. Because it's really all we can do. Okay, it doesn't appear like they do. Equip it for 2. If I ping... I guess we can sword here. Attach it to the Spell Queller. We can attack. Get rid of the Scamp now. It's going to deal the 1 damage no matter what we do, sadly. We died to a lot, and there's an argument that I should not have attacked, but, like, I think I needed the card enough, like, to where it seemed like the appropriate thing to do. I guess we'll go ahead and equip it. If I would have had a land and could have done both beforehand, that would have been infinitely better. There's a lot that kills us, but we might be alive here. Because they've shown themselves, and another reason why I already attacked is that they've shown themselves to run like lightning strikes and play with fires that would have gone over the top anyway. So we were already like in trouble. Isn't that like sack of treasure? Okay, yeah, he's gonna dig. He might find it, which we don't love, but you know, what are you gonna do? Yeah, okay, so even if we had attacked, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have just done the exact same play again. Well, no, that was wrong. That's fine. We made a wrong choice. That's fine. But I mean, I don't think we really changed that much in the list, honestly. Like, maybe a couple settles. The Geist is cute. Well, no, the Stalker's kind of cute, but it's a little too crap as a body, so we'll cut a couple of those. I mean, honestly, like, the deck will do okay against a mono red list. It just, like you saw in that game, we were just like a mana off being able to like attach the Sword of Fire and Ice and attach the Shadowspear, which would have given us the ability to start like swinging back, and that would have been the turn where we turned the corner and like would have easily started to snowball into a win. We just, you know, didn't get it. And yes, there's 100% an argument that we could have just, like, set back for return and just waited or whatever. But, like, I stand by that decision. Anywho, playing first because we have a brain. Oh, man. I gotta mulligan that, sadly. There we go. That's something. The Sentinel's eyes aren't great. I think I'm actually going to throw back the Waste. I don't want to, like, ping myself more than I have to. But having some various forms of, like, interaction is something. Okay, just going to eat a Play with Fire, which is fine. Better to eat it now when we're at, you know, 20 than we are at 2 or whatever. Didn't like what he saw. We will play the Invisible Stalker here. Not that bad. Now all we need is some sort of like Staggering Insight on the Stalker or any of the swords, honestly. But of course a Fire and Ice would be best, or even a Forge and Fire to give us pro red. But even if we don't, that's fine. Yeah, their list is a little weird, but okay. We're gonna not attack since we have a Spell Queller, and I prefer to just keep it. Spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that attack this turn to target creature. That's okay. That's a card. You know, it resolves. Again, Squee, totally getting countered. Is that the one you can cast from exile? Or is that the... hang on. Okay, this is the one that has escape. The older Squee is from exile. Okay, that's fine. I guess we can do Pippin, and then we'll do a Sentinel's Eye on the Stalker. Go ahead and attack. Their deck is a little weird for being... I mean, they also might just be having very bad luck with their draws. We've all been there. But they're, like, not the most aggressive, like, red deck win style thing. That's fine. Yeah, it would have been great to give it protection, but, you know, just wasn't going to be in the cards, and that's fine. Let's see, when it attacks... Make a little goblin boy! And escape 4. Whatever the hell. Luckily, again, he can't target the Stalker, so we do have an okay, like, little choice here. How many cards does he have? He would be able to... okay, guaranteed would be able to do to play the squee for escaping next turn, so I think we're just going to eat it for right now and be okay. Blue and black, surveil. I guess we'll do the Sigiled Sword here. If he attacks again with squee, I think we will. Well, maybe. Oh, we don't even have to. What am I talking about? We can literally just give the Invisible Stalker protection from creatures and have it block for free. Yeah, that's silly. I've liked Pippin here. It's just it's a somewhat it's not unique in the grand scheme of Magic, but in Historic there aren't a whole lot of spells like this, so it's just an interesting little extra decision point you have to make and like keep track of. But it's the kind that I enjoy. Let's see. In that case, we will tap to give it protection from creatures, since it's gonna die anyway. Might as well make it a bad turn to attack, and if he does, we just, you know, can use it to gain life. Isn't that right, goofball? Hi, babe girl. Hello. Yeah, do you bother to attack at all? Didn't think so. Squee's not bad. I think we can, well, yeah, we'll go ahead and get lost the squee, make our opponent actually spend the, you know, the resources and the resources and the cards in his graveyard to cast it again if he's gonna. Honestly, doing pretty good. I mean, next turn also, if we don't get anything, we can always just equip the Sigiled Sword to the Invisible Stalker. Because it, not only because it has Vigilance, not be down a blocker, but also gain another one from the knight that is created. The deck is weird. Whenever is dealt damage, exile that many cards, top of your library. Choose one of them until end of next turn. Next turn, you may play that card. I mean, okay, it's fine. Okay, if he's not gonna... Yeah, if he's not going to play the squee, I think I'm just going to eat the Swiftspear. I don't think it's going to get that big with 3 mana left and 2 cards that I'm going to be that scared. Right? Yeah, I think we're okay. Okay, that's less than good. This might depend on what we draw here upon further consideration. Yeah, we will go ahead and do the Sigiled Sword. Start attacking. What's the next one? And it's Battlefield with a 1/1 counter. The $1,000,000 question is, does he block with the Scamp and proliferate all the stuff on his board? Because he could block and kill it with the Scamp's die trigger. Proliferate the rest of his board. Although he might want the 1/1 counter from the Kumano, so he might not actually add another lore counter or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, it is lore counter. Okay. Pardon? Oh, the proliferate is the combat damage. Okay, the other effect is on die. I incorrectly gave them all the same ability in my head. Do I care if he attacks? He could sacrifice the furnace. Oh, okay. Well, that answers my question pretty resoundingly. I sadly have to block. He does have enough cards to do it again next turn. Well, you're just a turn too late. That's cool. Yeah, sometimes you just lose. Man, I do want... The deck is fun to play. It's just, like, not that good. And I guess before... It's not, but it's not bad, though. But what I was going to say is, before we go into game number 2, like I already talked about in the intro, the most recent set didn't give me any interesting ideas for decks, so... This is another one of those decks that I've always wanted to make, and these are good to do to like really flex your muscles as a builder and brewer of decks. But like sometimes as evidenced by Tarmogoyf and all those, like, Boomer Jund list, like, just because a style of deck had any amount of, like, quote, success, unquote, in the past or in other formats does not necessarily mean that you will be able to replicate that deck and that deck's level of success, whatever it might be, in your format of choice, be it historic or whatever your format is. But it's always fun to try, though, and I still encourage people to try, because even, not to be all corny and flowery, but even if you have a weird, like, sort of, yeah, we'll call it a weird list like this that has medium results, even the act of tinkering with it is worth it, regardless of the wins, if that makes sense. Anywho, on to game number 2. And game number 2, with our little blue-white Boggles-y list, we're going to throw this back because it's a little too slow of a hand. And yeah, we can keep this, that's fine. We can go ahead and get rid of the Forge Anew. Another little fun card, but especially given the hand we have, it's not going to be the most useful. Go ahead and play an Esper Sentinel. Does Jingatha tell me anything when they play an island? Is it like some Izzety wizard thing? Or spell slingers, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Well, there goes my plan of putting a Staggering Insight onto that. I guess we'll go ahead and play the Shadowspear since we don't have anything else to do. See what? Hi, sweetheart. Hello. You've come to hang out with the dad. Okay, so that is exactly what it is. Gonna be honest, we're gonna have a rough time if I had to take a wild guess. Doesn't mean that it can't work, it's gonna be hard. Oh, we will 100% get rid of the Arcanist. Even if they remove it immediately, I'd rather them have the 2/2 body than the recurring value of the Arcanist in their list. There are plenty of ways for them to not only make use of all of the, say, 1-cost spells they have, but plenty of ways, to, what's the term? To, manipulate the power of the Arcanist to get their, like, 3-cost spells and the like. What we do here? I don't like this, but I think I think I'm just gonna pass. I don't like this at all. It's not good. We're in a weird spot. He's running Swiftwater Cliffs. That's cool. Yeah. I know he can just attack with the Arcanist and get rid of the Spell Queller. I know he can effectively resolve the same turn, but I want to make him make that choice. Oh, that's not worth that. That's not... I mean, I don't think that's worth that. I could be wrong. Yeah, sadly, this deck is a little too cute to, like, really have a good matchup against decks like this. And sort of like what I was hinting at the end of the last game, was that this list is really fun and cute. I'm not the most convinced by its, like, results. Again, it's very fun, and if you're like me, where fun is more important than wins, since you are, you know, you're already at the middle point. You're not going to go down in ranks. But I don't mind, oh my god, losing games and having a good time. Oh god. That's good, though. This is honestly, like, a pretty good, like, well, is Mentor, well, okay, they might also have that, whatever the red-blue insight thing is. But I do like that card. I wish there were, like, more reasons to run it besides the wizard clause, like, if there were good cleric or druid decks or shaman decks or anything like that, but there's just not. It might just be dead, right? 7, 9, 9, 13, sure, I guess we'll block. It's not looking good. It is nice to gain life, though. I guess we'll just pass. Man, I wanted this list to be like better than it is, but sadly it's just not gonna get there, unfortunately. He's gonna attack and then do the Dread Horde and then get rid of the Spell Queller. Our opponent has the win, so I'm just gonna concede. But man, I want this list to be so much better than it is. And maybe it's just like a lack of like particularly good cards or whatever to like make it, or my build might be wrong, any one of those things. But man, I want this to be good. I guess we can do some Rest in Peace and some Settles here since they're gonna go wide. Stalker is like cute, but actually kind of bad here, so we'll just get rid of the Stalkers. Which sounds and doesn't feel good in a deck that sort of revolves around the Stalker, but that's pretty, what's the big word I can use incorrectly? Pretty, I think endemic is the word of the problem. Where, like, you're cutting, you know, again, playing first. But we're cutting the deck. Ooh, Sword of Fire and Ice is good. But we're cutting the deck's, like, whole thing, basically, when we get rid of the Stalker. Sentinel is good. It's going to give us some cards, hopefully. Oh, man, if we can actually get there with a Fire and Ice, man, we're actually going to be kind of good. Oh, man, we're, like, right there. We're so close. I would be surprised if we get there, but god damn it if we do, man. We'll be absolutely cooking. Okay. They're doing things. It has to be said. I'm gonna go ahead and Hallowed Fountain now, playing the Sword of Fire and Ice. If we can equip this thing next turn, we are in a fantastic position. But yeah, I was about to say that's a pretty big ask, but we do have it down now. And if nothing else, we can play the Geist next turn. I don't know if that's gonna like get us there all the way, but this is where the hexproof is gonna come in like particular handy, and it's really gonna impede what their deck can do. Yeah, try and target that. Now we're getting absolutely chunked. Also, it has to be said. But if nothing else, next turn we can equip the sword for 2 and keep a Spell Queller open. As little as that might end up amounting to. But I mean, it's something. Sadly, oh, that's good. I maintain that we are going to do the same thing, equipping the sword. Going to go ahead and attack. Can't block. We do retain the option for a Spell Queller if they play a like particularly scary card. We sadly can't get rid of anything with the sword trigger. The Colossus Hammer will be hilarious if we can resolve it, but I don't know if we're going to be able to. We're just going to have to see what our opponent wants to get rid of. Okay, Iteration. I don't want to counter the draw spell. I want to counter what they draw off of the spell. Because there's like a possibility we win here. Not that we win. That's the wrong way to word that. But that one, that's a good one to counter. Of course, if they have a counter of their own, life isn't great. Or do we just die? I do have to block, but we are alive. We're not alive. Yeah, we're not alive at all. I'm an idiot. Yeah. And like, I'm gonna like, because normally I would in videos like this where like the 2 games are really short, I would add a 3rd game in, but this is another one of those weeks where, pardon? Oh, I guess it didn't matter. Where I would where I would include a 3rd game, but I'm so strapped on time that I'm not going to be able to. And if we're going to keep it a buck, results like this are pretty common with this list. It has to be said. Again, is it a really fun list? I'm like glad that I've tried and I've tinkered with it, and I always now, you know, if more cards come out, I can always update it and see if it gets better with time. But yeah, it's like not maybe not 9 out of 10, like 7 out of 10 games, 7 out of 10 games are just like defeats like this. I mean, you know, that 3 or 4 times out of 10 or whatever is like a lot of fun, but like it's not a sustainable way to play in long term. So I mean, maybe if at home, if you have a really interesting version of this list, 100% leave it down in the comments below. I totally accept the possibility that I could just be building the list wrong. I've never ever really done like a Boggles-y style list in Historic, just because we don't really have good hexproofy evasive threats in the format. So yeah, if you have, you know, your own particular version, go ahead and leave it down below, and if I ever revisit this list, I might, you know, use your list, or at least give credit where, you know, to the person in question who leaves whatever list for any substitutions that their list might have or whatever. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Again, I apologize for the length of the video, but again, it's IRL stuff sometimes gets in the way and I just don't have an option. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more. And if you have any sort of questions or even a cool version of your own of this list, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. Be kind to one another and go out and tinker and have a little fun. Life's too short, you know? Bye-bye.